Hey everybody, Mike Chipperini at Chipper's Island Adventures, and right now I am driving down 29 South, that's Interstate 29 South, through Missouri. And where I'm headed to is an area that I served in the Army in, and that is Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Back a long time ago, in 1978, after doing a year in Korea, I got assigned to Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, and I was there for 18 months. And because the route we're taking right now goes right by Kansas City, we decided to take a stop here at Fort Leavenworth. And I'm traveling with my good friend Rick Oliver. Rick, he says hi. He's a man of a lot of words, Rick. So we're gonna stop in here momentarily, check out the old place, and I think you'll find it interesting. So stay tuned. So hey everybody, after a long drive, we finally arrived here at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. And what I'm standing in front of is the United States Disciplinary Barracks, which is the military prison. And this is where all military inmates from the Army, I believe the Air Force, and the Marines are sent if they are sentenced to serve time. This is where they are sent. And I spent 18 months here as a guard from 78 to 80. And what we're going to do is walk around here. This is like a trip down memory lane for me. And as you can see, we have the prison here, and we'll get video up in the front. Here you have a tower. I spent some time in that tower guarding, and right next door would be the barracks. This is where we lived, and then when it was time to go to work, we basically walked across the street, up the sidewalk, and entered up here. And I'll show you that in a moment. So here you see what was the barracks. And I had a couple rooms in here. One was along here, but I definitely had the second from the top, that corner unit. And that was a really nice barracks room we had. But this is the primary entrance to the barracks. I don't think I can go through those doors. And you can see maybe there is still a set of exercise bars up here, but this is where everything took place. Now it's an operations group X-ray mission command training program. So this was the barracks. What was neat, this is the only barracks I've ever been in that actually had a bowling alley in the basement. And we also, right through this door, if you went straight down, was a little gym with weights, and I'm talking a very small one. And then next door to that was the supply room where you got issued linens and things like that. So this is the barracks for all soldiers who worked in the United States Disciplinary Barracks. So here I'm standing in back of the barracks. I gotta stand corrected. I believe my room, it was either here or the second floor. I know I had that corner unit, but I had 3 different rooms while I was here. But I remember we used to come down the stairs right out this door to get into my buddy's car. But look at this. And right across the street, the DB walls loom large. And this was the cargo gate, and that's where they used to go through to bring in the supplies. I remember many a times being up in these towers with a shotgun, guarding or performing guard duty. Pretty amazing. This area has not changed one bit. It's all the same. The same brick buildings are up here, the same DB walls, and nothing's changed. The only thing that's different is it's no longer a working prison. They have now built another prison to the back, and I probably will not go down there. I have no interest in it. But so this is the walkway I used to walk up to go to work. Sometimes I went in the cargo gate, but most times I walked through here. And once we got inside, the last job I had here was actually being a guard, and you would go and form up and do roll call and find out where you were assigned for that shift. But we would walk right through this door up here as we're walking up the sidewalk now. And as you can see, it says USDB right above the door, United States Disciplinary Barracks. And it also used to say a motto, our mission is your future. And notice this was built in 1877, and when I was here in 1978, it was still functioning. Over here used to be a barber shop where inmates would cut your hair, and in this area was the main, there would be a couple MPs here processing new prisoners through. I worked in reception for a while, and I would have to come up and get the new prisoner. They would be signed over to me, and I would bring that new prisoner back to reception. But I want to show you, this was the unit insignia that we wore. Our mission, your future. So in 2002, a new USDB was completed. So this one closed down at that time. So we're just going to take a little walk out here and check it out. I hear a lot of people, so we just walked across the courtyard. Now you got to imagine, back in the day, no cars were here. This was an open space, no trees. It was purely open, a long walk from the front door, and you would walk across this yard, and then the main prison would be here, or as we called it, the castle. And it also had a big rotunda with wings going off of it, like 7 wings, maybe 8, I can't remember. I'll put this picture up, and as you can see how many wings there were. So this is where the main prison was. And down in back here, there was a building I remember, and that's where the gallows was kept. But this was the main prison. I spent a lot of time in a lot of these towers. You can see maybe there's a number on that tower, it says number 5. So I spent time in all these towers. This tower here is that back gate I was talking about. And then this building here, this was like B custody. These guys were no longer in a cell, they were in a room. They had been put there because they had shown good behavior, so they moved into that building. But this was it. I walked many prisoners across this courtyard as I took possession of them from the soldiers that transferred them to here. And then I would walk them across this courtyard, and you could see them looking around, scared as one could imagine, as they would walk into this big building known as the castle. Now, a movie that tried to replicate this is The Castle with James Gandolfini, but it doesn't really do it justice. They do wear the patch that we wore back then, which is the 3 lamps of learning, which we're gonna get one of them at the clothing sales today. But in that movie, it's not here, obviously, but they do a pretty good job. It's an entertaining movie, put it that way. And there were officers here, and there were enlisted men, and they were here for crimes that I recall, anything from possession of marijuana or heroin all the way up to double murder. We had it all in here, and they were all thrown in the general population. And as they earned good behavior, they would move to this building, which we called B custody, and then maybe further good behavior, they might move out to the local parolee unit, which was where they had a farm. So this is it, folks. United States Disciplinary Barracks. Some has changed, but a lot is still the same. And I want to point out one other thing. If you can see through the trees, this building here, I remember there was an upholstery shop in there and other things where inmates could go in there as they learned a trade, because remember, the motto of this place was our mission, your future. So they would try to prepare the inmates for eventual release by training them. They actually had a body shop. They had a thing to learn, or an area to learn cutting hair, barber shop stuff. And they had other things. I just can't remember all of them. So this place closed in 2002-ish, and now it seems like it's a visitor center. There's offices here, command structure, or whatever. It's all here, but it's a bit different than when I was here. And next to that vocational rehabilitation building, you can see the wall that ran the full circumference of the prison, or the perimeter, and right on the other side of the wall you see those arched ways. That is our barracks. That's how close we were. So the people on the top floor looked right over into the prison. So that about wraps it up for my USDB visit. If you like this video, feel free to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to my channel. All the best to all, and happy adventuring. So hey everybody, I know I closed this video, but I just wanted to talk about one thing. And here I am whipping down east on I-70, headed towards St. Louis and then eventually Nashville. But I wanted to talk about my time at Fort Leavenworth. And what's, you know, I go back to these places, and you know, I have a lot of good memories of being stationed there, although I wasn't happy being stationed in what I considered out in the middle of nowhere. But I did have a lot of good memories there, and it's always kind of strange to go back to a place that you spent so much time in, such as me, 18 months at Leavenworth, and you see your barracks are now being repurposed as offices for another mission of some sort, or that the you know, the castle or the DB where I was working is now all torn down. So there's always that bit of melancholy, and it also happens to me a bit when I go back over to Germany and I see where I was stationed there. So, you know, that's just one of the little, I'll call it a contraindication or a side effect of visiting places that you lived in for short or long periods of time. And I just wanted to talk about that because it was a nice little post. But back then I was 19 years old. I didn't have a car there, but I did have good friends. And, you know, you go there. One of my friends I just visited up in Michigan, Steve Hoffman. You see a picture of us here. But another friend of mine, George Miller, he passed away last year. And I had a lot of good memories with him there. And another guy, Theodore Matina, he was another good friend of ours. We always called him Goomba. And he passed away about 10 years ago. And this is just the way it is with military service, with the men and women you serve with. You leave your base, and prior to the internet, you probably would never see them again. And I never ever intended on returning back to Leavenworth, ever. But here I am, after having just visited there, because it was only 20 minutes out of the way from my route to Nashville, that it was worthwhile to go there. So my buddy and I, we visited, and then we had lunch at the DB. They had a little restaurant right inside what was the prison, and we ate there. And they have meals like the turnkey burger or the jailbreak turkey sandwich, things like that. It's all named after a prison theme. So anywho, interesting visit today. If you did like this video, feel free to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to my channel. All the best to all.